7, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start.
BBM, go.
Signal strength is -9.3.
Agricultural crops grown by people in every nation on Earth. What they're able to produce determines the basic quality of their lives. Developed nations, shown on this world food distribution map in blues and greens, can produce or buy enough food for their own people. But half the world's population lives in countries which have been slow to develop advanced technology. Although these developing nations of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East are increasing their ability to produce food and other products, predictions are that there will still be 800 million people without enough to eat in 1985. Experts agree that the developing countries must be helped to increase their own production. Experts also agree that grain banks must be created in countries which can afford them. Extra grain which can be shipped to areas where starvation threatens the population. Grains are the world's most important food crop because they provide the flour for the basic food supply of most families. Bread. In 1972, a satellite was launched which will help to manage world agriculture. Landsat, the Earth Resources Satellite. Images recorded by the satellite from 910 kilometers in space are being tested by agricultural planners to see how Landsat can be used to map the different crops growing on the Earth's surface. Early studies prove that the images clearly identified basic kinds of Earth's surfaces. Rock and bare soil areas, shown on this image in grays and whites. Water, shown in black. And vegetation, shown here in red. But to manage agricultural crops effectively, planners must know more than that. They must know how many acres of each crop are growing and what harvest can be expected. Experiments show that when Landsat data is processed through a computer, the areas of vegetation can be broken up into various kinds of vegetation. This Landsat image of an area in South Dakota showed that by selecting a few wheat fields in a test area, all the wheat fields in that area could then be identified. The United States Department of Agriculture has recently started using Landsat to improve the accuracy of United States crop acreage estimates. Traditional USDA methods rely on information from telephone and mail surveys and from reports of observers who visit sample fields throughout the season to measure the amount and progress of crops. Agency officials say that by adding Landsat data to their conventional ground reporting systems, they are now able to get greater accuracy at less cost than by using conventional methods alone. At the Johnson Space Center in Texas, an experiment is underway to see if Landsat images can be used to help estimate crop production on a worldwide basis. The experiment is called Lacie, the Large Area Crop Inventory Experiment. 3 U.S. government agencies are working together in Lacie: NASA, the agency which operates Landsat; NOAA, the agency which operates the National Weather Service; and the United States Department of Agriculture, which has responsibility for all agricultural programs of the U.S. government. Lacie is experimenting only with production estimates on wheat. Later efforts may test other crops. Lacie, in simple form, works like this. Electronic data from Landsat is converted into film images, much like photographs. Interpreters select and mark areas in each image which are known to be wheat. Information about these known wheat areas is then fed into computers. Trained operators request the computer to display all areas in the image which are like wheat. Once the number of acres of wheat is estimated, an attempt is made to discover the yield of each acre. How many bushels per acre are likely to be harvested? And here's where NOAA enters the experiment. Weather information gathered from NOAA's meteorological ground stations is combined with other information to predict yield per acre estimates. Finally, Landsat's estimate of the number of acres of wheat is multiplied by estimates of the yield per acre to compute the total production estimate for a large area. During the first year of the Lacie experiment, scientists studied only areas in the United States Great Plains. Sample areas were studied closely, and the results were verified by aerial photos and site visits. Now, Lacie is exploring possibilities for studying wheat-growing areas outside the United States. For example, this image is a wheat-producing area in Australia. If Lacie is successful in predicting wheat production in test areas, it will provide an efficient, cost-effective way to monitor agricultural activity. The techniques will be available to benefit mankind, helping to alleviate fears of worldwide famine. Every man, woman, and child in America uses the equivalent of a tree 100 feet tall and 16 inches in diameter every year. Fortunately, trees are a renewable resource, but they must be well managed to obtain maximum growth. It takes from 60 to 100 years for an unmanaged forest crop to renew itself, to grow from seedling to a forest ready for harvest. However, today's commercial forest managers are growing successive crops of softwood timber in a much shorter time. Genetically superior seedlings are planted and cared for in nurseries under ideal conditions. The young trees are moved carefully to cleared areas when they are strong enough to survive. Growth is encouraged in many ways. For example, helicopters spray the young trees with fertilizer pellets. One of the nation's largest forest products companies, the Weyerhaeuser Company, recently worked with scientists at the Goddard Space Flight Center to see whether Landsat might help keep track of what is happening to forest crops. Weyerhaeuser must keep track of 5.7 million acres of timberland. The company studied Landsat imagery of its North Carolina region to see what it would reveal. The area inside the white square is the study area. This is a computer blow-up of that study area, recorded in August 1973. This blow-up of the same area was recorded 6 months later, in February 1974. Comparison of the two images revealed that Landsat can be a useful tool for recording changes in forest conditions. Notice the area outlined on the left-hand image. It is mostly red, indicating a growing forest. Now look at the same area outlined on the February image. Much of what was red in August now shows up in black. The image shows that this area of about 50 acres has changed, been cleared, or perhaps burned during the 6 months. Most industrial forest companies already have systems for monitoring timber holdings. The steadily improving Landsat technology may provide an economical supplement for gathering needed information. This could contribute to more efficient management of the 200 million acres of commercial forest land throughout the United States. Insect damage to crops and trees is a fearful threat to farmers and foresters. Damage to certain trees begins when the larva stage of particular insects, such as this gypsy moth caterpillar, chew away at the leaves. Gradually, the trees are defoliated and must begin working overtime to grow new leaves, to save themselves. If the insects strip the trees of foliage 2 or 3 years in a row, the trees will die. In 1973, gypsy moths defoliated 1.7 million acres in the northeastern United States. The hope in the fight against gypsy moths is to be able to see where they are attacking and kill them before permanent damage is done. The trees may be saved if the insects are sprayed after their first attack, but before they attack again a year later. This 1973 Landsat image of a forested area in Pennsylvania revealed areas under gypsy moth attack. Note the discolored streaks where trees have been defoliated. This suggests that the satellite can be used to provide inexpensive maps for pilots who need to know where the damage is occurring in order to spray effectively. These early experiments using Landsat to help monitor the Earth's agricultural resources offer great promise for the future. It's just a beginning for the many peaceful uses of outer space.